Hey, I'm Deontay Jenkins, and here's what's on my mind. Often as film lovers, we want to understand film on a more deep level. Going from being a passive viewer of cinema to an active viewer takes actual time and effort. Studying film is just like studying anything else. You have to put in the work. Whether you're studying the film as a critic or a scholar, you have to know what you're looking for and how to look for it. But before we get into that, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up if you think it's cool. You can check out my latest short film by clicking here or in the description below. And turn on the notifications so you can know when a new video is being posted. Now, the start of any type of film study comes from paying attention. You need to give the film your undivided attention at least once. You have to make sure you're paying attention to the entire film. You can't have your phone or any other distraction keeping you from paying attention from start to finish. When watching a film with a critical eye, it's important to pick up on every little detail. And you can only do that by paying attention. You're looking for small, often missed things like camera movement and composition and lighting and the rhythm of the edit or an unusual cut. For instance, here in Phantom Thread.
Morning.
Morning.
What would you like to order?
Did you catch that? They broke the 180-degree rule of editing. But why though? These are the things that you notice when you're paying attention to a film, and the questions that arise from you paying attention. Things like the way an actor can subtly move their face to convey an emotion. These are the small, unnoticed things that you notice when you really start paying attention to what you're watching. This is one of the best arguments to why the movie theater experience is superior. Usually in the movie theater, we have a certain etiquette that we follow. Our phones are put away and the screen has our undivided attention. But more often than not, when you're studying film or critiquing a film or simply just watching a film with a critical eye, you're doing that from home. So it's on you to create that environment just like a movie theater that takes you and makes you pay attention. If the environment isn't right, you won't pay attention fully. And if you're not paying attention fully, something will be missed. With truly great films, every single detail has been thought out thoroughly. Whether it's the movement of the body or the camera or a camera angle or an edit, everything has been thought out from start to finish. And if you're missing something, then you're not fully understanding what the film is saying. But what you also want to do is watch films multiple times, including with the sound off. Watching a film multiple times is usually done because you enjoy the film, but it can also be done because you find it stimulating and want to understand it better. No matter how intelligent you are or how good you are at film studies or film criticism, there is often that one film that comes along that demands you watch it again because you didn't fully take in what the filmmaker was trying to say. Now, that's not a knock on you, that's a praise to the filmmaker. You'll often find yourself wanting to watch these films multiple times and getting new things every time you watch it. This is a good thing. Not only will you have a better understanding of this particular film, but you'll have a better understanding of the film medium as a whole. If a director takes the time to craft a film that demands multiple viewing, then you should take the time to view it multiple times. It's a contract with an artist that every time you watch this film, you'll get something new from it. It's not an insult to your intelligence, it's a compliment to your intelligence for realizing that there's more to be seen and more to be understood. Likewise, if you watch a film without the sound, it's a compliment to your intelligence for realizing that film is inherently a visual medium. If you can keep up with what's going on the screen without the sound, that's the sign of a filmmaker who took the time to craft his visuals around the story that he's telling. Now from there, you want to consider the themes that the film explored. Ask yourself, what themes did this film try to explore? What was it that the film was trying to tackle? What themes, what topics? What was it trying to say? Once you figure that out, in your opinion, did this film do a good job at exploring those themes? If the answer is yes, then ask yourself how it did a good job at exploring those themes. If the answer is no, ask yourself why it wasn't good at exploring those themes. At the end of the day, cinema is about the human experience. Even if the film isn't about the human experience, the fact that you're watching the film and connecting with the people who made it makes it about the human experience. It's from one person to another. There are people that are excellent at communicating an idea, and there are people that are terrible at communicating an idea. Ask yourself, did this filmmaker make me think upon this topic in a more deep and understanding way? The best films will have you thinking about it for days and sometimes even weeks to come. Take for instance Parasite, the 2020 Best Picture winner at the Oscars. This is a South Korean film that blew up in the United States, which is very unusual. For some reason, we in the US have a phobia of reading subtitles. But this film had people talking and thinking about it weeks and weeks afterwards. The themes, the techniques, and the filmmaking left such an impression on people that it had everyone thinking about it, so much so that they had to pass it on to someone else, which is where the word of mouth came from that made it such a smash hit both critically and commercially. That's an example of a film with great themes that keep the mind working, but there's plenty of those out there. Don't let these things just wash over you. Make sure you take them in, internalize them, and if you feel the need, pass them on to someone else. It's about the human experience. But most of the time, the films that we want to talk about are the films that stick with us. And we have to ask ourselves why we did or didn't enjoy a film. Films are a marriage between art and entertainment. Some lean more towards the art side and some lean more towards the entertainment side. But your enjoyment of the film will determine whether or not it sticks with you. No matter what, when you watch a film, you're going to have a reaction to it. Whether you loved it, you hated it, or somewhere in between. When you have that reaction, you must ask yourself, why did I feel this way? What did the filmmakers do to make me feel such a strong emotion or weak emotion towards it? Beyond just a simple emotional reaction, asking yourself why you feel this way at the film will help you understand how the film was constructed, what worked for you, what didn't work for you, and how the filmmakers got whatever they were trying to get across to you. This is the bedrock for any kind of criticism. If you can understand why something worked for you or why it didn't work for you, and explain that in a clear and intelligent way, that means you've thought deeply about it and you see it for more than the sum of its parts. Yes, explosions are fun in films, but was that explosion earned? Yeah, you can like romance, but was the romance justified? See the forest and the trees. Start developing your eye and your taste. And you do that by watching films more consistently. This is extremely important. The more exposure you have to something, the better you are at it. So if you're trying to watch film to develop a critical eye, and you're watching film once a week or even less than that, you won't progress at the level that you want to. If you really love this, if you really enjoy it, you will find the time to watch at least one film a day. Which, when you really think about it, isn't that hard. Most films are about 2 hours long, and taking 2 hours out of your day to study something that you find enjoyable and that enriches your life will benefit you beyond just the love of a film. If someone tries to tell you that watching that many films is bad for you, they don't understand what studying film is about. Once you start watching film with a critical eye, it goes beyond just mindless entertainment and moves over to a scholar studying something that enriches their lives. It's the equivalent of a poetry student reading as much poetry as they can with an unsatisfiable appetite. Once you get a groove of watching more films and watching films for more than just entertainment, your mind will begin to work just as much as any other scholar or anybody else studying any other subject. And once your mind is working, you'll start to notice patterns from directors. Pay attention to directors and compare their films to each other. Once you've started watching more films, you'll start to have your favorite directors and filmmakers. When watching those films, you'll start to notice different patterns and style choices that they like to consistently go back to. Compare those style choices to the same style choices that they made in other films. A great filmmaker should be their own measuring stick. See how this film that you're watching compares to the films that they've made before. Don't be afraid to devour a filmmaker's entire filmography. And don't be afraid to criticize a filmmaker that you love dearly. Keep your objectivity when watching a film. That doesn't make the filmmaker any less good. That doesn't make their old films any less impactful. See the film as an individual piece of art rather than a piece of their entire filmography. Be objective when comparing it to the work that they've done before, whether it's good or bad. Be merciless and be honest. What you feel about this film doesn't change what the filmmaker has done before, and it won't change what they do after. It only matters about the film that you're currently watching. And in that film, pay attention to the individual parts, meaning the directing, the acting, the lighting, the cinematography, the music, everything. Pay attention to all of that. If you feel some type of strong emotional reaction, ask yourself, how did they make me feel this way? Was it something that the actors did? Is it something that the director did? Is it the music that was playing? What did they do to make me feel the feeling that I'm feeling? All of these things assist in telling the story. So ask yourself, what was the most powerful aspect of this storytelling that made me feel this way? Once you question how individual parts make you feel, you'll start to understand film in a way that you never have before. You'll start to notice the equation. This performance plus this camera move plus this music equals this emotion. You'll start to notice how each individual part of the film come together to make you feel some type of way. Finally, be open to all types of films. We have a tendency to like things that we like and not look for anything else. As mentioned before, we as Americans specifically have a tendency to not like films with subtitles, which cuts us off from an entire world of filmmaking. We miss out on different artists and genres and cultures around the world. Beyond that, watch older movies. I know a lot of younger audiences see black and white and gristle and run away from it, when in actuality, those films can have just as much enjoyment as today's modern blockbusters. You can't dismiss an entire genre of film or style of filmmaking or era of filmmaking just because it takes you out of your comfort zone and it's something that you're not used to. See films for what they are, not compared to other films. If you like the latest comic book blockbuster, that's great. See that as it is, but that doesn't mean the latest drama isn't any good, and vice versa. You should be excited to see films that you haven't seen before. You should be looking for those opportunities to expose yourself to new types of filmmaking. But if you don't like a particular film, that shouldn't be an indictment on an entire genre, style, era, or region of filmmaking. Be open to new things. Be a sponge that soaks up every new experience and every type of filmmaking and cinema that you can find. If you do all of these things, you'll start to notice the change in the way you watch movies and the way you enjoy movies. You'll start to develop a deeper love for it. It'll take you from being a passive viewer to being an active viewer, and it'll enhance and enlighten your life in every single possible way. Watching a film that you enjoy is like watching any piece of art that has an impact. It sticks with you, and it changes you, and it makes you crave more. But then again, what do I know? Thanks again for watching, guys. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Oh, and check out my latest short film by clicking here or in the link below. Follow me here on social media. And once again, I'm Deontay Jenkins. Make sure you come back because I think you're pretty cool. I'll see you next time. Peace.